Hi, welcome to Classic Recaps. A top-secret experiment using alien DNA to create new life goes horribly wrong. It turns into a seductive and bloodthirsty creature. She escapes and goes on a killing spree, growing stronger and deadlier with each passing moment. A team of specialists must race against time to stop her before she can reproduce and create an unstoppable army of hybrids that could spell doom for humanity. The film opens in the 1970s, as the world's most powerful radio telescope searches for signs of extraterrestrial life. Years later, in a government facility, a young girl named Syl awakens, trapped inside a glass containment cell. Xavier Finch and his researchers prepare to subject her to unknown experiments, and Syl realizes the danger she is in. As men plug cylinders into her cell, she begins pounding on the glass walls, shrieking in terror. Syl's screams echo through the facility, and Finch watches in regret. He signals his men to release gas into her cell. The gas fills the containment chamber, and Syl disappears. Suddenly, she punches through the glass, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. The gas escapes, killing all the men in the room. Syl races towards the door, and Finch orders his men to give chase. Across the facility, military personnel pursue Syl as she runs for her life. She climbs over a fence and escapes, leaping onto an oncoming train. Hours pass and Syl falls into a deep sleep. When she awakens, she finds herself being assaulted by a man. In her fear and confusion, she lashes out with a strength she never knew she had, killing him instantly. The next morning, Syl arrives in a town. Syl exits the train and enters a convenience store. She learns about money from snack buyers. The clerk asks Syl if she'll buy anything. Syl rushes out of the store and sees a man loading the passenger's luggage on a trolley. She picks up a random bag without getting noticed and returns to the train. Syl relaxes with a portable TV from the bag. But soon, hunger drives her to the upper deck for food. She fills her bag with food and useful items from the kitchen while evading the guards. Syl's peace is brief. The conductor knocks and asks for her ticket. Syl hopes stolen money will suffice. The conductor gives her a half-price child's ticket and tells her to pretend she's 11 years old. Meanwhile, Finch and his team are hot on her trail, searching for the creature responsible for the dead man on the train. They can't afford to lose her, but broadcasting her escape would cause panic. They must find her quietly. Back at the train, an older Syl wakes up from another nightmare and quickly starts eating food. She then notices something crawling beneath her skin and starts to panic. She stands in front of a mirror and finds the same creature crawling under the skin of her face. Syl begins screaming as large tentacles emerge from her face. The tentacles pin Syl to the corner of her train compartment. Syl is no ordinary creature, and her journey is just beginning. Finch arranges for a special team, with people equipped to handle the situation effectively. The team consists of Dan, an empath, who can determine the motivations of criminals behind their crimes, Dr. Stephen Arden, an anthropologist, who is an expert in cross-cultural behaviors, Dr. Laura Baker, a molecular biologist, and Preston Lennox, who was called by the government as a last resort to tackle an issue that had gotten out of hand. He tells Dr. Stephen that he helps the government solve problems, but does not disclose his area of expertise. Dan figures out that he kills people for the government. Meanwhile, the train conductor approaches Syl's compartment. She knocks on the door to check on the girl. She enters to find Syl missing and a huge pile of eaten food. She finds a big cocoon in the bathroom. Before the conductor can leave, a tentacle shoots out of the cocoon and killed her. A woman emerges from the cocoon and leaves the bathroom, leaving the conductor's lifeless body behind. Finch tells the team their mission at the lab. He tells them that in 1974, SETI researchers sent messages with human DNA and Earth population data. In 1993, their research team received two mysterious messages. The first message was a better methane catalyst, allowing them to make infinite clean-burning fuel. The second message contained another DNA sequence and instructions for combining it with human DNA. Thinking they were dealing with friendly beings, the researchers followed the instructions and injected the DNA sequence into 100 human ova. Out of the 100, only 4 were successful. 3 were stored away, and only 1 was allowed to grow, which was given the code name Syl. Syl grew quickly. Within days, Syl had developed into a fully grown fetus. One night, Syl had a nightmare, and the tentacles made an appearance for the first time. This made the researchers uncomfortable, so they gassed her. Preston believes the government wants them to capture and kill Syl before she cause even more harm. Dan warns that Syl is a killer. Syl arrives in Los Angeles dressed as a conductor. She heads for the city. Finch and his team arrive at the train and find the conductor dead. Dr. Laura notices the cocoon and tells everyone that Syl is probably a fully grown woman, explaining why Finch's men couldn't find her. Since the conductor's cards were missing, Preston orders Finch's men to monitor credit card activity. Finch informs the team that he has booked a nearby hotel and set up another lab. Dr. Laura suggests growing the alien DNA again, without adding it to human ova to observe it. In the city, Syl buys a wedding dress and checks into a motel. She watches a couple make love on TV. Inspired by this, she asks the clerk where she can find men, and he directs her to a nearby club. The card pays for the room before she leaves. She approaches a man in a club. A woman interrupts their conversation. She takes the man away before excusing herself to go to the ladies' room. Syl follows the woman into a stall and pulls out her spine with one of her tentacles. Syl leaves, takes off her shirt, and asks another man to take her home. Meanwhile, Finch calls Preston to say they found Syl through her credit card activity. The team then confronts the motel clerk, who says he directed Syl to a club and that they might find her there. Syl had left the club with a man when they arrived. Syl arrives at his house. After showering, he asks Syl to undress. Syl reconsiders and asks the man to take her back to the club. Confused by the sudden change of heart, he kisses Syl forcefully. Syl does not resist and uses her tongue to kill him. The team arrives at the man's house to find Syl gone and another body. Dr. Laura believes Syl killed the woman because she was stopping her goal of reproducing, and the man because he had diabetes, making him flawed. Syl drives back to the motel, but when she sees police, she leaves. The team attempts to enhance security footage to see Syl, but fails. Syl wakes up the next morning after dreaming about meeting another like her. She drives into the city but abandons her car when it runs out of gas. A skateboarder distracts her as she walks. Suddenly, a speeding car hits her. As Syl falls, another man gets off from his car and calls for help. He takes her to the hospital, where he uses his card to pay for her medical bills. In the hospital, the doctor notices Syl's injuries healing on their own and informs the authorities. Finch's team gets the man's address at the hospital. Meanwhile, Syl goes to the man's house, and the two of them get into a hot tub and begin having fun when they hear the doorbell rings. Preston and Dr. Laura visited the man, but Syl killed him and left because they interrupted their fun session. Syl then climbs into the passenger seat of a woman's car and asks her for help. The next day, Syl wakes up to find the same woman tied up next to her. The woman begs Syl to let her go, and when Syl grabs the pliers, the woman begins thanking her, assuming that Syl was going to let her go. However, Syl cuts off her thumb, and when she notices that her thumb could grow back again, she cuts off her thumb again and dumps it into a trash can. She then goes to a gas station where she steals another car and fills up containers with fuel. Back at the club, Finch and his team begin searching for Syl. When Dan goes outside to look for her, she suddenly appears in front of him. He manages to escape and warn the others. Syl immediately gets back to her car and drives off, with the abducted woman tied to the passenger seat. Preston and Dr. Laura get inside a car and chase her, but when Syl's car reaches a dead end, she drives it off the cliff and jumps out just before the car crashes into a transformer and explodes, killing the woman inside. The helicopters following Syl's car fire missiles at the car to make sure that she is dead, but Syl had managed to escape. She makes her way to the abducted woman's house and dyes her hair. Meanwhile, back at the car wreck site, the forensics team tells Finch that they found a severed thumb in the wreckage. Dr. Laura orders the forensics team to test the thumb and confirm if it belonged to Syl. The team then heads back to their hotel to celebrate accomplishing their mission. There, Dr. Laura tries to seduce Preston and asks him to dance with her. While the two of them are dancing, Preston notices a blonde woman at the bar. Assuming that she is Syl, he leaves Dr. Laura behind and approaches the woman. The woman turns out to not be Syl. Dr. Laura then leaves and goes to the ladies' room, where she is joined by Sil, who is now a brunette. She asks to borrow her perfume and uses it before leaving once again. Outside, Dan tells Preston that Dr. Laura is interested in him and that he should see her. Preston then follows Dr. Laura to her bedroom, while Sil follows him as well. Preston then knocks at her door and goes inside before putting a "Do Not Disturb" sign outside her room. Sil breaks into the room next door and starts to eavesdrop on Preston and Laura, who were making love. She begins to hear Dr. Laura, just when Dr. Stefan walks into the room. He does not recognize Sil, and she tells him that she stole the key to his room. Suddenly, she kisses Dr. Stefan and the two of them copulate. Dan, who was passing by the room, senses that Sil is in the room with Dr. Stefan. He knocks on Dr. Laura's door and tells them that Sil is mating with Dr. Stefan. Inside the room, Sil tells Dr. Stefan that she has already begun to feel their unborn child in her womb. He laughs it off, but when Sil places his hand on her womb, he realizes that he is with Sil. Before he can scream, Sil kills him. Outside the room, Preston was about to break the door open when Sil breaks through the wall and escapes. The team arms themselves and follows her. They enter a basement and find a man killed. They conclude that Sil had gone down the maintenance hole and decide to follow her. The team splits up to search for Sil when suddenly Finch gets attacked by Sil and gets killed. Meanwhile, Dan points Dr. Laura and Preston to a cave where he thinks Sil is hiding. During this time, Sil gives birth. When Dan climbs into a small opening, he finds a small boy sitting inside. He tries reaching for the child but falls back when the child uses his tongue and eats a rat. The child then attacks Dan, causing him to fall. Just then, Preston and Dr. Laura arrive, and they use the flamethrower to destroy him. Sil, who had been watching them, attacks Preston when she notices her child being attacked. However, Preston cuts her tentacles and manages to free himself. He pushes Sil and throws her into the same fire that had killed her child. He then notices Dan, who was about to fall into the fire. With the help of Dr. Laura, he rescues Dan and the team finally leaves the cave, having killed Sil. The movie ends with a rat running away with a tentacle and eating it, causing it to start mutating. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this and hit the like button to help us out. Drop a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, take care.